Other questions? Now, guys, we're only going to go for about 5-6 more minutes because I do want to keep these two around 30 minutes each conversation. So let's get on to the next article. But I'll count for the delay in start time, certainly. So a thinking-based approach. Who wants to comment on this? This is a big one. This is, and I just want to, there are only a few of you here, but this is the most important concept that Dr. Greenspan instilled in his curriculum. Everybody think it's the most important thing is it's child-led or it's affect-based. Those are important and those are revolutionary at the time. But the fact that it's a thinking-based intervention is what makes it so effective. So who wants to comment on something being a thinking-based intervention? You all get this concept? Because this is the concept most therapists struggle with. Most parents struggle with. I was just watching a video of a 3-year-old little girl and her dad who was doing a wonderful job playing with her, but there was no thinking going on, right? They were doing a game where they put coins in an animal that makes a sound, and he would ask her, you know, what animal is this? What sound is it going to make? Well, that's not thinking in the true sense. That is memorizing and repeating. So if we are regurgitating a fact, if we're answering factual questions, that is not the type of thinking we need to encourage with a child, because that's not going to lend itself to social emotional growth. Thinking in a more abstract sense, like, well, what sound do you want the animal to make? Or where's the animal going to go today? Or what is, he's hungry, what do you think we should feed him? You know, now we get to adapt and create and problem solve and think, right? That's what Dr. Greenspan felt was so important, that we need to be helping the child generate their own ideas and answers, because that's what's ultimately going to take them further in the long run. Any other thoughts, questions?
Sorry, I have a question.
I'm sorry, I can't quite hear you, Ashley, or Samrit. Sorry, could you talk a little louder?
Okay.
No, it's very faint. Maybe the microphone or or you could type the question.
Okay. How about now? Can you hear me?
A little bit better. I'll try to listen close to my speaker.
Okay. I just wanted to be fast that I wanted to ask in with voice. So I have a 5-year-old daughter who's going to a preschool, and she's having a lot of problems. She's going to a regular preschool, and she's having problems with playing with other children, creating a relationship. And whenever like she will create a bond with one child, and then she will play with that child, and all of a sudden, if that child wants to play somewhere else with another child, she thinks that they are not interested in her.
He thinks what? I'm sorry.
She thinks that, oh, she doesn't want to play with me, or she doesn't like me.
Right.
We hear that a lot. And how do we help this kind of
Well,
kid?
the first thing is she has to be able to deal with disagreement and conflict a little bit better, which starts with you all at home, right? You and any other caregivers in the home have to make sure that she can problem solve and work through disagreements. So all of a sudden in the play, your character or the way you're participating might have a little disagreement, right? All of a sudden we're not able to do the thing that she wants us to do. And we see how she responds. If she gets revved up and frustrated, or she avoids, that means she's not fully ready to do this with peers either. And so we need to work on that emotional development, right? This is her tolerance of frustration, disagreement, adaptability, flexibility, right? Because she has an idea in her mind if someone doesn't want to do what she wants to do, or someone's not engaging with her, that they don't want to play with her, right? So we need to help her, just like Mustafia said, shift that belief. How do we shift the belief in a child? We start making it fun around those experiences. So we're going to disagree with her, but in a playful way. And we're going to make it as part of a fun game we're already enjoying together. And now she's learning to adapt and be flexible within the fun game with the caregiver, who can adapt to her and slow things down and make a small challenge versus a big challenge. Whereas a peer, it's probably not going to be that simple or adaptive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does actually make sense, because at home we do everything the way she likes it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. And it's necessary sometimes. Listen, if I'm correct here, she's a little girl who has a hair trigger. She kind of gets frustrated very quickly or easily.
she does.
Yeah. Yeah. And so typically parents develop that habit out of good reason, right? You're trying to avoid a meltdown or a problem. So, but the key is not saying, okay, let's go so far in the other direction now and challenge her and stress her out all the time. The key is when she's expecting something to happen some way, we're going to find very small, almost subtle changes that she doesn't realize are happening and see how she adjusts to them. So all of a sudden, we're making a snack. We're getting dressed in the morning. And instead of her holding her foot out and us putting her sock on the way she likes it, all of a sudden the sock starts flying towards her hand. Like, oh, the sock's going on your hand today. And she goes, no, no, no. And she pulls her hand away. But now maybe she's finding it funny and silly that mommy's doing it different. Right. But if we do the same thing the same way every time, she's never learning to be more flexible and adaptive. And then all of a sudden that carries over to school. And we have that kind of more rigid behavioral social pattern. But if we start being a little playful and adaptive at home first, both caregivers or all the caregivers now have to do this. If it's just one, it's not going to work. I'm just letting you know. If they see another parent who's more rigid or reactive, and then one parent is being more playful and flexible, they're going to always lean into the behavior that's convenient for them, which is more rigid and reactive at times. So just make sure that anybody who's in the home right now with you and her is doing this too. It doesn't have to be all the time, but make sure that there's regular opportunities and during regular routines of making a snack, getting dressed, doing things like that, that we're always adding in these little changes, right? We call them curveballs. We do something a little differently. We play dumb, right? We use these principles. We do them very, very subtly. Another principle of neuroplasticity, how the brain changes, is it doesn't always respond to big challenges. The brain actually wires itself most efficiently when it's actually responding to little challenges that might turn into a big one over time, but they start off as very small, subtle challenges. All right.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. Well, good question. Any other questions or thoughts, everybody, before we sign off today? All right. The thinking based, the thinking one is a really important one, everybody. I recommend if you do have any questions about it, please reach out to me privately. I'm happy to chat about it more. There's more information online that you can find about it too. And there's a great article about the difference between Greenspan Floortime and DIR Floortime that has some audio clips of my father talking about the importance of a thinking based approach. So I wish you all the best of luck the rest of your week, and I will talk to hopefully most of you in about 2 weeks. Thank you all for attending again, and hopefully I'll see you all in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.